In the shadows where truth and tales intertwine, we find the thrilling, the chilling, the downright spine-tingling. From the paranormal to the peculiar, every echo has a story. Dare to delve into the unexpected, the unexplained? Brace yourself, for you're about to embark on a journey where fear meets fascination. Stay tuned if you dare, for stories that will make your heart race and your mind ponder. Welcome to the realm of the eerie, the realm of the unknown. And remember, like and subscribe, if you dare. I was a seasoned park ranger, unafraid of the forest and its secrets. My name is John, and I've spent a lifetime patrolling the dense, ancient woods of Pine Haven. It's a place of breathtaking beauty, cloaked in layers of mystery. The locals whisper about it being haunted, spinning tales of odd happenings and unexplained disappearances that date back generations. But me? I've always been a man of science, a man of reason. I've always believed there's a logical explanation for everything, even the bizarre. Then came that fateful summer evening. A call from the park's headquarters broke the tranquil silence of my lodge. A group of hikers had vanished into the belly of Pine Haven, and I was tasked with leading the search and rescue mission. A storm was brewing, threatening to unleash its fury on the forest. Time was of the essence. I quickly gathered a team of seasoned rangers, each armed with flashlights and backpacks, and we plunged into the thick wilderness. As we delved deeper into the forest, it morphed into a formidable labyrinth of towering trees and tangled underbrush. The dense canopy overhead swallowed the sun, casting the forest floor into an eerie twilight. I've known these woods like the back of my hand for years, but that night even I couldn't shake off an unsettling sense of unease. I brushed it off as nerves, a natural reaction to the looming storm. As the hours rolled by, the drizzle turned into a steady downpour. Our search had hit a dead end, the hiker's track seemingly vanishing into thin air. Exhaustion was beginning to creep in, and we decided to set up camp for the night. We huddled around a small fire, seeking solace from the damp and the cold. But despite our efforts, the forest seemed to tighten its grip around us, the shadows growing darker and more oppressive. The forest seemed different that night, but I dismissed it as nerves. The forest was a wall of trees and underbrush, blocking out the sun. As we ventured deeper, the woods swallowed us whole, casting us into a world of perpetual twilight. Our flashlights cut through the gloom, illuminating the path ahead. There was an odd chill in the air, a sense of unease that seemed to seep from the very soil beneath our feet. The forest, usually a place of beauty and tranquility, felt strange, almost alien. It was as if the trees themselves were watching us, their silent sentinels whispering secrets we couldn't understand. The further we ventured, the stronger this feeling became. I tried to shake it off, attributing it to the stress of our mission and the impending storm. Our search for the missing hikers led us through dense undergrowth and over treacherous terrain. Their tracks, initially clear and distinct, started to fade. It was as if they had vanished into the ether. Despite our best efforts, we could find no trace of them. The forest had swallowed their tracks, leaving us with a mystery that seemed to deepen with each passing hour. As night fell, the forest became a world of shadows and whispers. The rain had begun to fall, a steady drizzle that soaked us to the bone. We decided to make camp to rest and regroup. We huddled around a small fire, its flickering light pushing back the oppressive darkness. The warmth was a small comfort against the cold, damp forest. We shared stories and laughter, trying to keep the spirits high. But the forest around us seemed to grow quieter, the shadows deeper. It was as if it was holding its breath, waiting for something. An unspoken tension hung in the air, a sense of anticipation that made my skin crawl. We bedded down for the night, the fire casting long, dancing shadows across our makeshift camp. The forest was a silent observer, his dark canopy stretching out above us like a velvet shroud. As sleep claimed us, the last thing I remember was the soft patter of rain on the leaves and the feeling of being watched. The forest seemed to close in around us, the shadows growing darker. I woke to a soft whispering sound. The trees seemed to be speaking. The night was thick with silence, every rustle of leaves and creak of branches amplified in the quiet. My eyes scanned the darkness, but my team was still huddled in their sleeping bags, oblivious to the whispering that echoed softly through the woods. The sound wasn't menacing, but it was eerie, like an old lullaby sung in a language long forgotten. I rose, my boots crunching on the wet fallen leaves. The whispering seemed to grow louder. a sweet, haunting melody that tugged at my curiosity. I followed the sound, stepping carefully through the underbrush, my flashlight casting long shadows between the trees. With every step, the whispering grew clearer, pulling me deeper into the heart of the forest. The forest was alive with whispers, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. The whispering was no longer just a sound, it was a presence, a being that existed in the space between the trees. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I pressed on, drawn by the promise of an unseen mystery. As I ventured further, the whispering seemed to lead me, guiding me through the dense foliage. My heart pounded in my chest, a wild rhythm that matched the whispering that filled the air. It was as if the forest was revealing its secrets to me, whispering tales of its ancient past and the countless souls that had wandered its paths. Suddenly, the whispering stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. I found myself in a small clearing, the moonlight casting an ethereal glow on the damp forest floor. In the clearing stood a figure, a woman, her clothes torn and her face streaked with dirt. Her eyes were wild, filled with a fear that echoed the terror of the whispering forest. She extended a shaky hand towards me, her voice barely more than a whisper as she pleaded, "Help me!" In that moment, I knew I had stumbled upon a mystery that the whispering forest had kept hidden for far too long. She was in tattered clothes, her eyes filled with fear. This was how I first saw the lone hiker, standing in the moonlit clearing of the forest. Her voice trembled as she whispered of a tale that chilled the blood in my veins, a tale of her friends being taken in the heart of the ancient, sprawling forest that I had come to regard as home. She spoke of how they had been hiking, just like any other day, when a sudden downpour had forced them to seek shelter. Stumbling upon an old abandoned cabin, they thought they had found a haven from the storm. But as night fell, the cabin became a prison. Strange sounds echoed from the woods around them, and one by one, her friends began to disappear. Only she managed to escape, finding herself lost in the woods, alone and terrified. Her words hung heavily in the air, a chilling reminder of the forest's dark reputation. The forest, which I had always viewed as a place of beauty and mystery, was now shadowed by an unnerving tale of disappearance and fear. I quickly radioed my team, her story echoing in their ears as they arrived at the clearing. With the woman leading the way, we trudged back through the forest, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy with anticipation. The woman's story had transformed the forest from a place of beauty into a haunting landscape of shadows and whispers. Finally, we arrived at the abandoned cabin. It stood there, an ominous structure, its walls covered in moss and its roof sagging. Its dilapidated appearance bore testament to the passage of time, and the air inside was heavy with the musty scent of decay. The woman pointed to the cabin, her eyes wide with fear, and said, "They're in there, I know it." The cabin stood there, an ominous structure, its walls covered in moss and its roof sagging. The woman's tale had set a new course for our search, leading us to the heart of the forest's mystery. The cabin, and whatever secrets it held, waited for us in the heart of the ancient, sprawling forest. The air inside the cabin was heavy, filled with the musty scent of decay. Our steps were cautious, wary. We were seasoned rangers, trained for this. Yet the air of mystery that surrounded this cabin in the heart of Pine Haven Forest made even the bravest among us feel a sense of trepidation. Each step closer felt like a descent into an ominous tale spun by the forest itself. The woman, now our guide, was insistent. She was certain her friends were inside. Her conviction, however, was not comforting. It was as if her certainty was a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked within the wooden structure that now loomed before us. The cabin was a relic of a time long past. Its weathered wooden panels told a story of years of abandonment, of nature slowly reclaiming its space. The windows were darkened, secrets held within their murky depths. The door hung slightly ajar, an eerie invitation to the unknown. The woman's fear was palpable. It was as if she was living her nightmare all over again. Each step towards the cabin seemed to take a toll on her, but she pressed on. She pointed towards the cabin, her trembling hand a stark contrast to the firmness in her voice. "They're in there," she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. It was a chilling moment. The cabin, the woman, the lost hikers, all pieces of a puzzle that the forest seemed to be presenting to us. The silence that followed her statement seemed to echo through the trees, as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for our next move. Our approach to the cabin was slow, methodical. Each creak of the wooden floor beneath our feet, each rustle of the leaves around us, amplified in the silence. The woman's words hung in the air, a chilling prophecy of what awaited us within the cabin walls. She pointed to the cabin, her eyes wide with fear, and said, "They're in there, I know it." The cabin was a puzzle, a soundless sentinel, its secrets tucked away behind its weather-beaten walls. An eerie hush hung heavily around the cabin, a spine-chilling silence whispering tales of the forgotten and unspeakable horrors. We park rangers dared to enter its gloom-filled interior, our flashlights dissecting the curtain of darkness that enveloped it like a shroud. The inside of the cabin was a mirror reflection of its exterior. Deserted, yet oddly fascinating. Decades-old furniture hidden under ragged cloths lay beneath a blanket of dust, and cobwebs clung tenaciously to the corners, like spectral leftovers from another lifetime. The silence was pierced only by the groaning of seasoned wood and the faint rustling of hidden creatures. I led my team deeper into the cabin, our steps filled with trepidation, the suffocating atmosphere growing heavier with each passing moment. A murmur seemed to grow in volume, as though the cabin itself was eager to narrate its chilling tale, a story as cold as wind that rustled through its wooden bones. Hidden away in the cabin's innermost corners, the beams of our flashlights unveiled a concealed trapdoor tucked beneath a worn-out rug. A secret path hidden from unwanted glances laid bare. It was a portal to the unexplored, a threshold that promised to divulge the cabin's darkest secrets. The lady who had guided us here was adamant that this was the place where her friends had disappeared. With shaking hands, I lifted the door, revealing a confined wooden staircase leading down into the unknown. The air grew colder, the whispers louder. The cabin's mysteries were buried, not within its walls, but beneath them, waiting to be dug up. The darkness called, tempting us to step into the unknown, to unearth the buried under the cabin. Our discovery would forever alter our lives. The cabin was no mere abandoned edifice. It was a vault of secrets, a protector of a narrative that was about to unravel in the most horrifying manner. As we descended into the abyss, we bid farewell to the world we knew. A new chapter was about to unfold, a descent into the heart of the cabin's darkness. Descending into the unknown, we braced ourselves for what we might find. What greeted us was a chilling sight. The chamber was a vast, hollow cavern, its walls slick with dampness. It was a haunting tableau of decay and despair, filled with the stench of rot and the palpable taste of fear. In the dim, flickering light of our torches, we saw them. Old, rotting barrels stacked haphazardly, their contents unknown. The walls were covered in crude drawings, each more disturbing than the last. They depicted men, women, and children in various states of agony, their faces etched in torment. The drawings told a dark and chilling narrative, a tale of pain and suffering that was almost too much to bear. Then we saw them. They were there, the missing hikers shackled to the cold stone walls. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with terror, their bodies frail and weakened. They were the living embodiment of the horrors depicted on the walls. The woman who had led us there broke down, her sobs echoing through the chamber. She ran to her friends. As the reality of the situation sunk in, a cold dread settled in my heart. We had to get them out, and fast. I quickly radioed for backup, my voice trembling as I relayed our location and the condition of the hikers. We began to untie them, their chains cold and rusted, the echoes of their ordeal still lingering in the air. But as we prepared to leave, a voice boomed through the chamber, its tone low and menacing. "You shouldn't have come here," it warned, sending a chill down our spines. We exchanged uneasy glances, but our focus remained on the task at hand, getting the hikers to safety. Their faces pale with terror, they had been subjected to unspeakable horrors, but their ordeal was far from over. As we began our ascent, I couldn't help but feel that we were leaving something behind, something that was best left undisturbed. Little did we know the true horror was yet to reveal itself. As we prepared to leave, a voice echoed through the chamber, a low, grating sound that seemed to penetrate our very souls. The words it uttered were chilling, an ominous warning that sent shivers down our spines. "You shouldn't have come here," the voice intoned, its tone reminiscent of a death knell. We exchanged uneasy glances, the enormity of the situation sinking in. In that moment, the cabin and its hidden chamber transformed from a mere structure to a living entity, filled with a malevolent energy that seemed to pulsate in time with our racing hearts. The voice, disembodied and haunting, was a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. Despite the fear gnawing at our insides, we knew we had to leave. To stay would be to invite further horrors, horrors that our minds could hardly comprehend. We steeled ourselves, focusing on the task at hand, getting the survivors to safety. "You've disturbed something that was best left undisturbed," the voice said. Emerging from the underground chamber, the forest seemed to have come alive. The once familiar sanctuary had transformed into a living, breathing entity, bristling with a malevolent energy. The trees swayed and twisted as if possessed, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers, clawing at the stormy sky. The storm we had been warned about had finally arrived. Sheets of rain poured down from the heavens, drenching us to the bone, blinding us with its intensity. The wind howled, its mournful cry echoing through the forest, sending shivers down our spines. It was as if the elements themselves were conspiring against us, making our escape from the forest a struggle for survival. We trudged on, the hikers clinging to us for dear life. Each step was a battle, the mud sucking at our boots, threatening to drag us down. The once familiar trails had become treacherous, twisted by the storm, obscured by the darkness. We were lost in a world that had turned against us, a world that seemed determined to keep us within its grasp. The woman who had led us to her friends was silent, her face pale, her eyes haunted. She clung to my arm, her grip tightening with each crack of thunder, each flash of lightning. She didn't speak, but her eyes spoke volumes. They held a terror that went beyond the storm, beyond the forest. They held a terror that came from the depths of the underground chamber, a terror that had seeped into her very soul. As we battled our way through the forest, I couldn't shake off a feeling of dread. It wasn't just the storm, or the darkness, or even the haunting images from the underground chamber. It was something more, something sinister, something that whispered in the wind, that lurked in the shadows, something that was part of the forest itself. The forest seemed determined to keep us within its grasp, as if it were fighting to protect its secrets. Secrets that we had stumbled upon, secrets that we were not meant to discover. Secrets that were now etched into our minds, secrets that would haunt us for the rest of our lives. As we neared the edge of the forest, the woman turned to me. Her eyes held a distant, vacant look, as if she were seeing something far beyond the tree line. Her lips parted, and the words slipped out in a whisper that barely reached my ears over the howling wind. "It's not over," she cautioned, her voice trembling with an undertone of dread. "They're still out there." These cryptic words hung in the air, their weight pressing down on us like the storm clouds overhead. The forest fell silent. The wind ceased its mournful howl, and the rain paused its relentless assault. It was as if the entire world were holding its breath, waiting for the woman's foreboding prophecy to unfold. The trees seemed to lean in closer, their gnarled branches reaching out, as if trying to pull us back into the forest's dark embrace. With each step towards the park headquarters, the woman's words echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder of the horrors we had left behind. I couldn't help but glance back at the forest, its dark silhouette a stark contrast against the stormy sky. It stood there, harboring its secrets, its mysteries, its terrors. We finally reached the safety of the park headquarters, the warm light spilling out from the windows, a stark contrast to the darkness we had left behind. As I guided the survivors inside, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The woman's warning had planted a seed of doubt in my mind, a lingering fear that the forest was not done with us. I tried to rationalize her words, to make sense of the inexplicable events we had witnessed. But deep down, I knew that the forest held secrets that went beyond what I could comprehend. Secrets that were best left undisturbed, secrets that were alive, watching, waiting. "It's not over, they're still out there," she whispered, her eyes filled with a haunting emptiness. The forest's chilling lullaby echoed in my ears, a grim reminder that some mysteries are best left buried in the heart of the wilderness. And so, our tale of the campfire horrors comes to an end. Until next time, sleep tight. Before we part ways, dear viewers, remember to stay vigilant. The campfire horrors may have been extinguished for now, but the embers of the unknown always remain. As you lay down to sleep tonight, don't forget the lessons from our tale. Safety is but a fleeting moment in a world of unseen. So if you've enjoyed this journey into the abyss, don't forget to ring that bell and smash that like button. Do it before the thing under your bed decides to pay you a visit. Oh, and keep those night lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Thank you for embarking on this terrifying adventure with us, until our paths cross again in another tale of the unknown. Goodbye and sweet dreams, if you can.